Well, the blunders of US politicians have inspired jokes and parodies for decades. With the US presidential election campaign heating up, there's a whole new supply of ammunition. But as RT's Marina Portnaya reports, some believe the comments are displays of ignorance and disregard for world affairs, and should be no laughing matter.
Every 4 years, America's top job is up for grabs. With each new election comes a new batch of candidates with compromising foreign policy credentials.
When they ask me who's the president of Becky, Stan, I'm going to say, I don't know. Do you know?
I'm afraid that it's a very hard struggle, particularly given the situation on the Iraq-Pakistan border.
You can actually see Russia from land here in Alaska.
Africa was a country on the brink of complete meltdown and chaos.
Geographically illiterate U.S. candidates have supplied comedians with endless material. But all jokes aside, some presidential hopefuls vying to lead the world's most powerful armed forces know very little about America's military interventions.
So you agreed with President Obama on Libya or not?
Okay, Libya.
Forming a cohesive sentence on geopolitics can be a struggle.
I do not agree with the way he handled it for the following reason. No, that's a different one.
Differentiating between friends and enemies, also a challenge.
Obviously, got to stand with our North Korean allies.
In the case of Republican candidate Mitt Romney, mixing up presidents and prime ministers can be common.
I think President Putin represents a real threat to the stability and peace of the world.
The overarching ignorance on international affairs has caused American political commentator Bill Maher to conclude,
I think anybody could be president in this dumb country. Okay.
Sort of like at this point now, where I think if you're going to be, when you register to be a candidate, you also have to go take a test about foreign affairs. And if you fail the test, we might get you one chance to take it again. And then I'm saying, sorry, go run, for city council in your little town in Alaska.
If a country with the world's highest national GDP is being represented by politicians with a deficit on international affairs, the biggest consequence is likely to be America's credibility around the world.
And even who we target.
And let me finish with this. I got lost in a blizzard of words there.
This is where it gets really dangerous for the United States of America. It's like, wait a minute, how could they possibly be right about terrorism? How could they be right about North Korea? How could they be right about Iran's so-called nuclear program when their candidate doesn't even know that there's a North and South Korea? I think the U.S. is lying. And so then the world has this very paranoid view of the United States because of the candidates not understanding basic facts.
Or understanding basic principles of international law, which unequivocally prohibit torture.
If I were president, I would be willing to use waterboarding. I think it was very effective. It gained information for our country.
The consistent streak of foreign policy blunders made by U.S. presidential hopefuls is quite humorous, but it could also be considered a national tragedy if most candidates campaigning to be leader of the so-called free world simply don't know enough about the world outside of America's borders. Marina Portnaya, RT, New York.